Hey folks, Eric here from Dirty Old Sneakers, and every year around the New York City Marathon, I add some videos to my channel giving you tips and tricks for the race. And this year, I turned the tables and I asked you, what do you want to know? You'll have to forgive my cold. You can hear my voice is a little different. So in no particular order, here are the top questions I got for the New York City Marathon in 2022. What's the best way to get to the start? I get this every year. Okay, race morning, you're gearing up to get to the start. You're super excited and your mantra is going to be hurry up and wait. Staten Island, where the race starts, is actually an island, which means that you either have to go over a bridge or on a ferry to get there. It's like threading a needle. Remember, there are 50,000 people running the race. Precious few are actually staying on Staten Island the night before. Now, there are a few options for getting you to the start. You can take one of the buses from Manhattan or one of the ones from, I think it's MetLife Stadium out in Jersey, or you can take the ferry. I guess you could also drive yourself or take an Uber. But with security the way it is these days, and the fact that any car dropping off runners has to clear the bridge by 7 a.m. means you're better off taking the bus or the ferry. Each of the options has its benefits and drawbacks. For the bus, you're going to wait in a long line, either at Giant Stadium or at the New York City Library, both at an ungodly hour. Then sit in a bus that sits in a long line of traffic until you get to stand in a long line for security to get into Fort Wadsworth at the start. The ferry is kind of similar. You're either going to get in a long line for a ferry and then a long line for a bus and then a long line for security to get in Fort Wadsworth. So you're asking me which is better, the ferry or the bus? Well, at least on the ferry, you get a good shot of Lady Liberty while you're getting over there. Another question, can I sneak into an earlier corral or an earlier wave? I mean, you can try, and I'm sure some are successful, but let me show you some video that I filmed back in 2018. So all those folks there, they're checking bibs to make sure that A, you're allowed in the corral, B, that you're in the correct corral, and C, that you're in the correct wave. So can you sneak into an earlier corral? Like I said, maybe you can, but if you do and you're caught, you risk being DQ'd. My person and I want to run together, but we got put in separate corrals. Can we run together? Yes, absolutely yes. This is very clear in the New York City Marathon rules, and they'll tell you just go to the slower person's corral. Well, if you both usually run at the same pace but got put into different corrals, you might not know which is the slower one. So here's the shorthand. Go to the runner's corral who has the higher number. The higher the number equals the slower time projected on the course. Another question. My start time is X and my flight is at Y. Do you think I'll make it? I have no idea. How fast do you run? My start time is X and I'm on the 5 a.m. ferry. Do I have enough time to get to the start? Here's the general rule of thumb. You're going to want to get to your transportation about 3 hours earlier than your start time. Why? Well, this is the line at the Manhattan side of the Staten Island ferry at 7 a.m. And this is the line on the Staten Island side when the same ferry landed. The last thing you want to do is line up at your corral late. You're under enough pressure to run the race that day. Don't make getting to the start a stressor for you as well. I'm scheduled for the XX ferry, and I found out that my start time is at YY. Can I change it? Here's the secret the New York Roadrunners won't tell you. The ferry is public transportation. While there won't be a lot of folks on it that aren't racing that day, if you look around, you'll find them. They'll look like the ones who have been out all night. My point is, unless you're carrying something illegal, they won't deny you access to the ferry. And as long as you have a bib, you'll be able to get on one of the buses on the other side to take you to Fort Wadsworth. Do you think that they're checking all those bibs and telling folks to wait until they're allotted time? Just remember, try to go at least 3 hours before your start time. Otherwise, you risk missing it. Another question, can I jump into the race with my brother, sister, mother, friend, cousin who's running it? While the New York Roadrunners won't like me saying this, the answer is generally yes. The caveat is just don't be a dick. The folks running the race have trained really hard for this day. A lot of them are running the race for the first time and don't want you to be the reason to have some sort of issue on the course. Just be really hyper-vigilant of the runners around you. Consider that they have the right of way all the time. And please don't use the water tables. They haven't counted you and you don't want to be the reason someone doesn't get to hydrate. And if a course marshal finds you on the course and asks you to exit, just do it. Don't argue with them. Clearly, this guy didn't get caught or somehow got by the marshal. And while I'm sure this is a nice memory for he and his runner companion, it totally the pictures of the folks around him for that year. Who wants to be seen with some guy in street clothes crossing the finish line? Not to mention messing up my video. And if you're like that guy and somehow you get to the finish line without actually running the race, don't take a medal. You didn't earn it. That's about it, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you like this video, please smash that like button below. Get that up into the YouTube algorithm a little bit more. Get some more eyeballs on it. Some folks that might just need to have this information in their back pockets for race day. And if you like gear reviews, race reviews, New York City Marathon tips, or anything endurance sports related, I'm your guy. Please hit subscribe and the bell next to it so you get notified when I put new videos up just about every week. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.